Record. Okie doke. So whatever you have on your mind, sir.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Man,
Okay. Actually, before we start today's effort, I want to show you something that I think you will find very interesting. This is a job I'm working on that you haven't seen yet, but let me show you something here. I was locating the road the other day, and I located I shot an inlet, storm drain inlet,
okay.
taking a minute for the photograph to come in.
All right.
Taking forever for the photograph to come in. It's got everything locked. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Everything seems to be locked up. My cursor is moving, but not on the drawing.
Yeah. Try try minimizing it and then open it back up. Sometimes that'll.
Ah, there it is. Well, there it was.
Yeah.
When I minimize it, it's showing the you see that how it's showing up there
Yeah. On
on
the
the card?
Stollifer.
Yeah. But not there.
Let me take a peek here a second. Request remote. Right. Image, yes.
Should I close it and open it up again?
Hang on a second. It's maybe. Let's see. It's responding to the command line. But the graphics aren't updated. So there's that one. There we go. So where are you, over here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, it's fruit. No, there we go.
Yeah, it's just redoing.
Okay, now this I thought was very interesting. Let me see if I can find it here. Let me see. Storm drain is number 31. Yeah, okay. That's the storm drain where I shot it in, and there it is on the photograph.
Well, that's a good thing.
You got to admit that's pretty daggone close.
Yes, sir. That's not bad at all.
It's probably taking so long because I've got two other drawings open. I don't know. That's,
Yeah, possibly. It's also probably a very large
let me turn that off.
drawing. Let me send it to the background here.
Pretty clear photograph.
Yeah, it is. Now, is that the one from the GIS stuff that we
Yeah.
set up?
Yeah.
Well, that's, I would expect that to be pretty close like that anyway with that, because these are digitally ortho rectified. So they're meant to be like survey grade, whereas a Google Earth image is not.
I'm always glad to verify that, though.
Oh, yeah, that is good affirmation.
Okay, now this is a job that you've helped me on before. This is one where I had all kinds of errors on my drawing. So you spent a couple of hours.
All right.
I don't know why it keeps doing that.
Is that one that had all of those like latitudes and departure calls on it?
Well, it had multiple points because there were frozen layers that I didn't account for.
Yeah, okay.
So you created a drawing called KAC Herbst, and
Okay.
there are a couple of questions I have. Created a location inset. Let me show you this first. This is on my mouse is driving me crazy here. It's not okay. You see the location inset drawing?
Uh-huh.
That we created that and we brought it in as an XREF,
Okay.
which is showing up here. And is there a way to copy that to KAC Herbst, or can I just bring it in as another XREF?
You can do it either way. But you can copy it from one to the other. If you go up and select it, just click on the edge of it.
Well, I can't get my mouse to move. It's not
Okay.
showing up.
Hmm. All right, so do you have the same viewport in the other drawing?
There's a viewport in the other drawing. I haven't done anything with it.
All right, so that's that one, and then if we, I'm in the other drawing, I see. Okay.
Yes.
So if I'm in this drawing, and let me select that. That's the same specs on that, it looks like. 384220914936. And that is, yep. All right, so it's the same viewport. Now, what do we need to do? We need to bring this image. Oops.
Yeah.
Let's see, let's look at it over here for a minute. Wait, which drawing is this the one that's the good one and you want to take it from
No.
here? It's the
No,
other.
that's not the good one.
Okay,
That's the one I started on. The one that has your initials in front, KAC, is the good one.
yeah, so what, I'm not seeing it show up now. What's going on with it?
Well, it's not in there. We have to bring it in as an XREF or copy it.
Oh, did we not have it in this drawing to begin with?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, then no problem. So what a couple of things you could do with it is you could XREF it into this drawing, and I would put it out here in model space somewhere off to the side perhaps.
Yeah, let's do that because I want to see how to bring that in as an extra.
All right, so we'll go ahead to the side. We'll be in model space, and I would go to a layer. I would name that, get on a layer called inset or whatever you want to call it so that you can control it.
Well, there are a bunch of
Now,
locations.
see all that location, see all those location inset layers? That
Yeah.
means that there was a drawing called location inset that has been XREF'd into this at one point. So if we already have it in there, I'm going to show you something else that we can do to point it to a different file. So while you're here in this view, click down on that external references on the left-hand column right up right there. Now you see that location inset? See, it's loaded. And if you click on that, and then instead of, see over there where it says saved path is in SHEPP, OneDrive, desktop, SHEPP, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Click in that saved path. Maybe double click, I'm not sure. Yeah, so that'll let you now navigate to a different file, if that's your intent. So you're in 2022 jobs. Right now, 22.
that's where the job is. It's in Herps.
We're down to Herps.
That's what we're doing.
All right, and then up to Carlson. And then there's that location inset. So all you're doing, so you had it already, you had something already inserted. And so now you're going to point to that and say, instead of whatever you had before, I'm going to now look at this file. So you're going to select that and choose open. And then close that out. And let's see where it may have gone. All right, so it's over here. All right, and then we'll look at our survey plat.
There it is.
Is that the right one?
No, that's not the right one.
Okay, so that is because of the block being named the same.
Okay, now we're still in the wrong one.
Oh, we want to be. No, we just need a different file here, right? See this file right here, you see that path at the bottom?
Yeah,
That is your location inset.dwg.
okay.
So is that the correct?
That's the correct location inset, but it's in the wrong. It's not in the, and that's not the right drawing. The one with your initials in front of it is the right drawing. That's the one I'm trying to get it into.
Oh, I thought you were trying, I got it. All right, so I thought you were going the other direction. Okay, so now, so if we go back over to here and we look at model space and we see there's nothing there. And if we look in our layer control here, and we see an external reference. Now, see, we've got one here, but it's unreferenced.
Okay,
Now we could, let's try that and see. I don't know because it may have gone to a different place, but let's see if just re-referencing it will bring it in. It's not looking like it did. Huh, all right, so we're gonna need to.
how about if I delete it from the other file?
No, from the one without my initials, you want to delete
Yeah.
it? Well,
Yeah.
no, we don't need to delete it from there, but I do need to delete it from here because it's unreferenced right now because it was brought in as an XREF into something else that came in. And then that parent has been gone. So if we detach it here, just completely take it out, delete the record. All right, so that's now detached. Now, we could go and do that and try to find the right spot as to where it goes and everything there. But remember, you've got two things open, two files open. So I open up this file here. That's the one that has the good one. And if you take that and you get on that, select that one that you have, and then drag it and drop it right down here on the same category, external references. Now, that should, but why didn't it, why is it still unreferenced? Huh, all right. Let's try this again. Okay, see, let's try reference. I'm going to take this out. I think what I need to do is now purge that. So go to drawing utilities, purge. And that should be the block. Let's see it. Should be all right. Now,
Look at the label that's on all of a sudden. It's on a layer called label. And I put it on location and said, how did that switch?
oh, I don't know. I may have clicked it when I was
No,
going.
that's happened on some other drawings. I mean, I don't even know where label came from.
Like, see, when I click down here, and if I'm going up here, I may have flipped it. But it's you know, I don't know what's.
Still says I'm on location and stuff.
Yeah, it is now. Yeah, I switched you back up here, but because I may have just dragged across it. All right, so if we can't do that drag and drop from there, here's another thing that we can do. If we go back to the one that's good, and we select, let's just get all of this. We'll do a crossing window so that we get a little graphic, the outline of the property as well as the file. And excuse me. Now I'll let you drive. Go ahead and choose right click and choose clipboard, which is down there. Yep. And copy with base point. And type 0,0 and hit enter. And now go back to the KAC drawing. And you should be able to just right click clipboard and paste to original coordinates. Now zoom up there and see if we got it. There it is. Now look in your survey plat and see if that's got it. There it is.
Yep, it does.
Good. Now there's see, there was a I thought I saw an extra little boundary in here, but I think that was a grid on the quad sheet.
Yeah.
All right. All righty. Well, that worked. Now, what I would suggest, see that word site? And it was all grayed out. Let's see, that is an external reference. Let me see. I want to bring it to the front because it's behind this gray hatch. So if I'm gonna go ahead and open up that file. And I'm going to select just that word. Right click and draw order front. I will now save that. And now when we come back to actually the both of these, you should and you don't necessarily get a message. Sometimes it'll tell you that you need to reload. So we'll come back to here, we'll get this, select it and just reload.
And notice up there in our tabs, we have the location inset drawing open.
Yeah, that's because I wanted to take that word site and bring it to the front,
Right.
but I don't. Ah, stop. Okay, now I'm here. That's text. There's your layer label. I may have clicked on it when I did it. So let's see, layer, draw order, front, and then save. Now I can close that. Let's try over here. We should have to reload it. Just do it quick this way. Application inset, reload. Load, come back to here. Get all. It's still looking sort of grayed out. Is it? Might just be that it's gray. It's on layer label. This. More to double check on something. You look at it here, you see that green frame?
Yeah.
Doesn't appear to be in there. See, if I just do this, it should just say one item external reference. That's fine. All right, so let's see if we can find something out about it here. We'll look at. All right, and this is on layer label. And its color is by layer, so that's all well and good. There's nothing I have to do to that one. I'm just confused as to why it's gray here. We may have a layer override. Let's see. Oh, they're both set to be white. Regardless of which one is dominating, viewport color white, no transparency. Oh,
Well, maybe we can come back to this after we do
yeah,
the things that need to
well,
get done.
yeah, I know exactly what it is. It's the fade control. Um, not XREF fade, but X fade control. Let's see, X fade control. Let's see, X fade control. Oh, I'm sorry. And then see what the values are. It's the fade percentage. Fade control. Zero.
And I think it's good enough.
Okay. Yeah, they'll be able to tell it.
Sure.
So let me get back out to there. Alrighty. Where to next?
Okay, if this is an incredibly busy drawing when it gets down around in here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've got gaps and overlaps, and I fooled around with it on the bad plat, and it just isn't. And where I ran into trouble is labeling all of these corners.
Yeah.
So I made I made a couple of changes. I changed this to instead of SHEPP rebar, I changed it to Johnson rebar, so I was able to eliminate all of those. But then if I guess what I'm asking is, I have a lot of other descriptions that are similar.
Okay.
Like found 5/8" rebar, there were a bunch of those.
Yeah.
So how can I bring those into, I guess, my legend? I mean, is that the way to do it? I guess that would be my question. Is that the way to do it?
Possibly. Don't forget about that X whenever you get around to cleaning that up, whatever that is. It possibly. And you know, if you do it with a legend, of course, it has to be a different symbol.
Right.
So, and what was the description? Was something a bent rebar?
Yeah.
And if you're going to distinguish no cap or with cap, you know, you might do a solid and an open, but and then I would say maybe you could use a little triangle instead of a circle. That's possible.
Well, there's one that has like an X through it too.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing that we can do is if you've got room, is you could just make the description for all those points all the way around like a single layer, or sorry, a single letter, like A, B for the, you know, like what is that? There's a set cap
Okay, now
rebar.
we're not on the right drawing now.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right. So like you've got a so you got founds. Well, the founds, just in terms of nomenclature, found, you know, existing are typically unfilled and and proposed or set are typically filled. So you could simply make just make a round circle and just call it a found rebar, and a solid circle, say set rebar. And then up here in beside each of those points, just like you have over here, like you've got these descriptions, you could make those descriptions, make a letter, a single letter for each different type of description that you have. And like maybe if you've got, 4 of them that are
So
number
what
5.
would I do that in a spreadsheet and then just copy and paste it?
Exactly right. And so, and you would just have just give it a title like, monument label, or whatever. And then the next column you'd call description, and then you would have it like, if you might have 6 of them that say A, and that's number 5 rebar found bent no cap. And then maybe
That's
just
a good
one,
idea.
just one as a B. So you're going to basically make a little point table. And-
Okay, I can do that. Now let me ask you another question.
Okay.
The other last time we were working on a job called Wilcoxon, and you had something that you did that I found very interesting. And I'm not sure I have it right, but you did a automatic auto annotate.
Mhm.
You did an auto annotate, and it went through and decided where I needed a line table.
Yes.
And created it.
Uh-huh.
And that was really neat, I thought.
Okay.
Let
All
me,
right.
let me put this, one point's frozen. And that's the first time I'd ever used auto annotate. I've always been afraid of it before.
Sure. So, so the way to do that,
Now, first you have to check and make sure the figure's closed. Is that true?
I don't know if it has to be a closed. Probably, well, that one is, so you're in good shape. I'm not sure if it has to be closed or not. I think in that particular command, it doesn't have to be closed, but it goes up to the last little misclosure and just assumes it, and just like you were drawing it and you said close it, and it draws the last little segment in. So I'm not sure how that reacts to it, but anyway, here's how this auto annotation deal works in conjunction with the defaults and the settings for the tables. So one thing, let's see, let's make sure, this is a 200 scale.
I don't remember.
I'm looking down here at the,
Yeah.
yeah, 200 there, and your line type scale, that's good. Let's see if you're MSNT scale, it looks like that's on. What is this? Line type scale of 1, okay. And so line type generation means the pattern goes through each of the corners. And if you select that and say line type generation is no, then it restarts the pattern every time it hits a bend point. So you see it looks solid until you get on these long lines.
Right.
Play with that as you need. The problem with it sometimes is you'll get it to where one of the corners is in a gap.
Right.
But because you're monumenting all the corners, you should be okay. Now, so here's how this thing works. When you, well, we'll go ahead and run, first of all, the annotate menu, or yeah, look at the annotate menu and look at the annotate defaults. Okay. And so here's where you would set the text size scalar, again, the 0.08, meaning plotted inches. The offset scalar, that's how far off the line it's going to go. And the line type text scalar, that's if you wind up drawing lines of a patterned type. It's something you could probably ignore because you've already got your lines drawn anyway. You got the label flip and all that kind of stuff you can do. Excuse me, put leaders between endpoints, you know, the crow's feet, that stuff. All right, so that's in general, but then look at the angle tab, and that's for your bearings. Now you see there's, and again, your layers are going to be set here. And so you'll be in degrees, minutes, seconds. You're going to use an angle. You're going to use the actual degree symbol instead of writing out the word. The direction you pick is either toward the picked end or away from the pick. And this is if you pick a single line or a non-closed polyline. If you tell it, it's just a matter of whether it calls it northeast or southwest or northwest or southeast.
Right.
So nothing there. Let's see, quadrants, label, prefixing and all that. And then look at the distance tab next. And then that's going to show you the same type thing, the number of decimal places. Again, the layer. I think that's probably about all you need to look at. And then under arcs, that's for if you're labeling curves. That's going to give you the same type of thing. You've got a spacing factor, which means it's a little bit bigger than one, that spreads it out for when you're putting text around a circle. You know, it creates a block, but it, you know, because sometimes it jams the letters too close together. We have to change that a little bit. And that's probably good for there. So that's where you're setting a lot of the placement of the end result. Okay, so like what layer, what size, that kind of stuff. Right. So go ahead and say okay to that. And or you can, yeah, if you're doing lines in series, you can suppress the, you know, have it change the, you know, just put a single bearing but multiple distances, that kind of stuff. You know, again, you're setting styles and sizes and layers. Okay. Yeah. So that's those defaults. So go ahead and say okay to that. And now here's where we set the other. If you go to the annotate menu and go ahead and run auto annotate. Now another dialog box will come out. Now this one is a little sluggish in coming up, I've noticed, so just don't assume it's busted. All right, so here's where you control all of these things about the tables and such. And again, you got lines and arcs and then stacked arcs and arc dimensions, etc. But for your lines, there's a little preview there at the bottom. And you've got basically an angle and a distance. And up at the top, you choose which row to put that component on. And notice that it says they're both on row 1, but it's row 1 above for the bearing and it's row 1 below for the distance.
Wait a minute, I'm not seeing. Oh, here?
Up another block, right in there. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
okay, I see.
Yeah. So if you were to say angled, change that distance from below to above. See where it says below, pull that down and choose above. Right there. Yep.
Right here.
There, yeah. And look at the preview. See what it does. So it would put the angle then the distance. So, but if you want it split over under, you would set it like this. if you want them to be over under, but both on the same side of the, like both above, then change your distance to, instead of 1, change it to 2. Okay,
Yeah,
so
okay,
it does.
interesting.
So it's really very, self-explanatory. So however you may want to do it. And keep in mind too, once you've done it, all you have there is text, and you can move it around as you see fit. So, and then again, you can set the order if you're on the same row. So right now you're on the same row, you're both above, and then you would tell it whether first or second. Or you can put that back down below, and then of course it becomes first and first, that sort of stuff, okay? And then your orientation, usually it's going to always be parallel. It won't be anything other than first unless you have something else up on the above side of the line or the below
Okay,
side. Yeah, so that lets you choose that, all right? And now, the orientation parallel to the line itself, the label position is, and this is, it's a little weird because it says above and below. And then you've also got a checkbox for inside, outside, for closed polylines, and there's not really any sense in how that is figured out. I usually run it, and if I have to flip the labels, I'll do that. But if you go inside, outside for closed polylines, that's gonna, if you go inside, outside, if you click that, that means when it labels it, it's going to consider row 1 above is the inside of the closed figure. So it's, I think it's unnecessarily complicated.
okay,
I don't think it's very good. So now the table part, there's a table reference position, the next one down, that's right now is set to be above, just right where you were, right up there, right there. Yeah, that one, right.
Yeah.
If you pull that down, your choices are either above, below, inside, or outside. And that's, not really sure, to be honest with you. You'd have to, I looked that up in the help system at some point as to what that refers to. I think it has to do with the title, the heading for the table. I'm not sure of that though. All right. But then keep coming down, you've got your angle format, which you've already set with your defaults anyway, but you can override it here. Combine common angles. So if you've got, a bunch of lines in series, you can combine those. And then, you can annotate the angles, the interior, exterior angles, deflection angles, etc. But here's the control for the tables. It says use line tables. Now look at your choices. It can either be never, so don't use tables, always put the text, or always use tables, so it's always going to label as a table entry, or you do it by scalar. So when we say by scalar, then you need to know about the size in your plot, at which point, it's starting to crowd the line. So right now it is set to be 1/2 inch. So if the label would be on a line that is 1/2 inch or shorter, then it's going to go to a table. So it depends on the height of the label and whether you're over, under, or if you're all on the same side, that kind of stuff. So you would look at that and change that to correspond to your scale and to, how you're going to, at what maximum length of line or what minimum length of line would you want to label the text? And I don't know what to tell you, in terms of that. I can I know about what a half inch is, or maybe even an inch is okay, but it just depends. So you could try it once, don't like it, go back and change it and relabel it. So right now it's at the half inch, and then starting table number, that's one you got to keep your eye on. And right now we want to select that and change it to 1. So when it puts an
Why
L,
is it 26? Because that's what it was the last time.
yeah, the last time we did it, it got up to 25. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So that's for the lines. Now look at the arcs. And it's very similar, the tab at the top.
Okay.
So it's very similar. Now that sets all your prefixes up there for the label. Whether you're going to label it or not, that's the 1, 2, and 3 row and the nuns and all that. That's for the actual label on the curve. I don't know. Do you have any arcs in this boundary? It doesn't look like it.
No.
Yeah. So,
No.
so we won't spend a lot of time with, going over that, but you see down below, it says to curve table scalar. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
scalar and then the starting curve number. All right.
Should
So
always be
this,
1.
yeah, I might as well change this. Now at this point, you can go ahead and say, okay. And then pick that figure and hit enter to finish. And now, before you think it's not doing anything, look down at your prompt and it says starting point or a point number of the line table. So if you would go off to the side or wherever you want the line table to show up.
Good.
And
Can I go to the survey plat
no, you would do it here.
and
You
then
don't,
just move it as necessary?
yeah, or make another viewport and look at it either way. So I would put it here and then move it around as you need. So, all right, so now that's done there, and then it fills out the rest based on how many times it had to go to the table. And that was based on that half inch. Now look up there at that busy corner. And you see that one, the one that like right in here, see this one?
Yeah.
So that line, so this one right here, this red, the short red line, that is of what, an L4.
Yeah.
That was certainly short enough, but this one was long enough to label it, but maybe it shouldn't have been labeled. So you could see, what's our, what is this distance here? It goes from here to here. And that's 105 feet. So basically it's a half inch. And so at that point, it didn't trigger. It really should have, because we told it half an inch. We might want to put that down to 0.4. But now here's one thing to look at too. You see these, that particular text, it's in a style called deed tables. And it is 0.08, so that's about the size we were looking for. But this one is in a style called standard.
Yeah.
All right, so so you probably want these to match. And if you want them to be, a little bit emphasized, then this skinny deed table stuff, or deed tables text, that's just like a single stroke text, it's like a Leroy.
Yeah.
So find out which one you might want, but I would put them on the same, I'd make them all the same style. And you could do it one of two ways. You could select one of these, do a select similar, and then you could change the style to all be the same size. But since we're going to do it over anyway, and this is the trial and error business of what we're doing, let's try this by doing this command again. But first look at your annotate defaults again. instead of the auto annotate, go to the annotate the fonts. And we're looking at angle and distance, and for angle, you see the style says standard. Okay.
Yeah.
And if that's what you want them all to be, then leave that set to standard here. And then we'll set the table style to standard instead of deed tables.
Okay,
All right, so those are set here. Let's make sure we're not too darn big. I think we're at 0.08.
where do you see that?
I was looking, it's on general, I believe. This general tab. Yeah, there's your text size scale of 0.08. So that's fine. All right, and so we've got previous labels set to erase. So when we run it again, it will erase those. So that's good. We don't have to make any changes. So we'll just say cancel on that. And now go to your auto annotate again. And when this comes up, let's set the
0.4?
yeah, I would make that 0.4. And then
Change this back to 1.
yes, that's what I wanted to point out. But now where
Maybe under general settings.
no, that just loads up that last thing we just had up.
Oh, okay.
Except there's no settings. See, there's the annotate defaults. Oh, yeah,
That would be a table setting somewhere, wouldn't it?
yeah, that's what I'm trying to find here. Hang on, distance. They're both set to standard.
We saw table settings somewhere last time, but I don't remember where.
Well, I may have been setting up the table itself. Let me take a look here for a second. The lines, this is the table, and scale it, so there's nothing. Well, I've been dealing with that, so. Right, so there's nothing there. I think what we might have to do in that case is, instead of part of that one, here's what we have to do. We have to go down to our table, which is line and curve table, and set these defaults. There we go. So now there's your NO boundary, is your layer, your table text layer, label text layer, table text layer, label text style. So deed tables, that's where you would set it to standard or make a match. There's your prefix, so L1, L2, same thing for curves, C1, C2, etc.
Okay.
All right, so that I think automatic table update, let's turn that on. First table on to code. Location, yeah. Okay. All right, so that should be good. Now notice there's load and save all over the place where you can bring those up and
Right.
so we'll go ahead and say okay. And then you should be able to go back and do your auto annotate. And just click OK, and then pick your figure. Now, see, it's asking for where to put it. Yeah, there you go. And
Still get it.
still did it. Well, what is that? Let me see something over here, because is that, what's our distance? Here to here, basically. See, it's a good half inch. Here's the other thing too. Okay, that started with line 6. We forgot to change it. Because we set it once before, but we canceled out and looked somewhere else and we forgot to reset it. So,
Okay. We're going to do it again anyway.
yeah, we'll do that again and we'll set this L1. Now, where is, here's another thing to consider too. Where's your POB when you go to describe this?
Oh, I don't really worry about a POB, frankly.
All right, because you can set, like, let's say if this, every drawn polyline has a beginning point, even when it's closed, it has a beginning and the ending point's the same point. And I believe when you pick that, it's going to start at that beginning point and work its way around. So if this were your POB here, for instance, you could set it up so that the first time it hits a short line, it would be an L1 and then an L2. Now, here is another case where this should be. It's 106, so that's just over half an inch. Oh, we went the wrong way, I think. We should have said 5, we should have said 0.6.
Oh, okay.
Instead of 0.4, we should have said 0.6 or maybe even 0.7. Here's one thing you could do is find a piece of text that's like one of these bearings. That's about the length that you're going to encounter. And we're going to draw a little temporary polyline right here. That's just going to go from here to here. And we'll say that will be anything shorter than that. Now that happens to be what? 140. So let's say 150 feet. So 150 feet at inch equals 200 scale is what, 3/4 of an inch?
Yeah.
So yeah, so let's make it 0.75 instead of 0.3.
Okay, so go back to annotate defaults.
Well, no, we don't need to do that one now. Because that was just a placement in the style.
Auto annotate.
Auto annotate. And don't forget to set the line numbering back to 1, but set that to 1 and then set your table scaler to 0.75.
Oh, that didn't change. We because we hit cancel. It didn't go to before.
Well, yeah, but it still, I think, would have been
The wrong way.
maybe, hold on. Yes, it still would have been. Yeah, because this is the largest size to put the bearing and distance on. Anything smaller than that puts it in the table.
Okay.
That's the way that should work. Okay, so now say okay, and then watch your prompt. So you're gonna need to give it a place to start after you pick the figure.
Oh, shoot.
That's all right. You're in a crossing. Just keep dragging up till you cross it. Other way, other crossing there, like that. Make sure you get the upper. Make sure that the the upper corner of that left crossing, except you have to stay left of where you pick, not right. Yeah, there you go. That'll do it. There you go. Got it. Say okay. And now your point number or your starting point. All right, so you got a few more this time. And there you see the short ones came out.
Now, can I just click that L4 and move it on that side of the line? Can I do that manually?
Absolutely, you may.
And same thing with this.
Yep, exactly right. Now, if you look at your table, you know, you might even want to, you know, for instance, I think we've got this set up. No, let's see. If we take this table now. Curve table. Let's see here. Edit table properties. And if we change that to line and curve defaults, general table editors. I don't know if it will work in here. Let's see, this is.
What are we trying to do?
I'll right here, the line, the distance, instead of left justified, if we make it right justified. Well. Let's see. Oh, sorry, I gotta get in the right menu. Table properties, line bearing and distance. So line. So that's 6.2 wide, no wrap, 0.08. It's a line to the right. So I want to put that aligned to the center. And the bearing, I'll keep that to the left. The distance, I'm going to align that to the right. See if that, how much distance we've got there. It's probably a little big. Let's cut that down to say 9. The background colors, all that stuff, you can play with that if you want later, but this should, and set your heights and all those different things. So we'll say, okay, there you go. Now the distances are all lined up on the right so that their decimals are sort of lined up, right? And then this, oh, come on. I want the actual titles. With the values. Want the header, let's see, so header scale, header style, header alignment. See what that looks like. Yeah, that puts these in the center of these columns. And then you could change the, and you know, you could, you know, DIST period or whatever, but you know, that's probably sufficient, I would call it. And, you know, that'll certainly get the point across. And then when you need to, you just, you know, move this around as to wherever it needs to go. So right now it's going to look like that. So
Well, it's not too bad, actually.
yeah, it's a pretty good guess. I would, you know, obviously we need to bring it in a little closer like that. And then you're going to have another one for your ABC type of monuments.
Right.
And, you know, you can make those, and you can make those as CAD tables instead of a spreadsheet, just in case you want to match what that table there looks like as well, but it's really cosmetic at that point.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I could do a spreadsheet pretty easily.
Yeah, so that, well, when you bring the spreadsheet in, I believe, let's see, you've got Excel open. Is there a spreadsheet? I'm not going to place it, but I want to see if there's a way to. There's a. Oh, I see the blank white here.
Yeah, that's weird. Let me,
It's there. It's a matter of graphics update. That's, there we go. All right, so so let's say we had you know, oh, this is strange.
well, it's an actual spreadsheet in my Carlson file on this job. Why don't we use it, modify it?
All right, well. And see if you can do something with that. I can't seem to find any controls on it. You know, maybe just right click down in the taskbar and cancel. There you go. Well, not. Think. Are you still there?
Yeah,
Okay, I thought maybe you closed the Zoom session. But yeah, just right click and right click
Okay.
that Excel icon and close window.
close window.
Yeah. Now you should be able to.
Oh, it's got it popped up on the other screen.
Oh, okay.
Ask me to confirm it. Okay, let me look at this for a second here. Desktop. 1, 2,
Oh,
first. Carlson. I think there should be a merger table. And I'm not doing a merger here.
let's just make a new one. Let's just make a new one.
Okay,
And that way we can see if it will allow it. See, you can do a paste special, and I believe you can paste it as a table. I just don't recall. So if we're doing a new spreadsheet, and we'll go ahead and put it in your working folder here, and we'll call it you know, monuments or monument descriptions, or what are you going to call it?
call it corner ID.
There you go.
We're in Herps.
And so I'd go ahead and give it a, and just leave those like they are for now, because we're going to see if it'll bring it in as a table. So
Okay,
I would give that a, whatever the column heading is supposed to say, go ahead and type that in there.
well, let's see, the overall table would be corner identification.
Okay. Okay.
And then call it, well, it wouldn't be corner number, it would be,
Label
I guess I could call it, I guess I could number them.
or, yeah, I,
How about if I called it corner? How about if I just called it corner and then in the next table call
but
it
yeah, you have to,
description?
there you go, take that out, and then in the next column, call it description or something. And then we'll sit there. Okay, so now we'll, yeah, let's double click that, and so we got, this would be,
Okay, this way I want to merge, wouldn't I? Make it,
no, we want two different columns here.
well, it would be, but the overall the
but-
heading of the whole table would be,
That one would be, but this, this one will bring down like so, and we'll actually format these to be centered. And this one will make left. And then this will be left. All right, so let's say we had, we'll just put a couple of things here. You got A's, you got B's, and you got C's. Sorry. And let's say this is a bound number 5 rebar, no cap. And this might be bound number 5 rebar. No, oops, no cap, bent. Something like this, and then it's set. Number 5 rebar with cap. SHEPP, you get the idea.
yeah.
So
Except
now,
that's you got a number R there instead of number 5.
oh, okay. So we do number. All right, so we have something like so. So if we do like you are familiar with, we're going to copy that, and then we come back over to our drawing and we paste from their clipboard now, special. And okay, paste either as the worksheet or the picture build script. So we can't, yeah, I can't do it like that. However, if we draw a table, choose the data source. Let me first go back to this and save it. Okay, so now it's looking for an Excel file as possible. So let's see.
It would be under Herbst, but under Carlson.
There we go. All right, because it's in use, so we'll close it right now. Now we'll say we'll get the coin ID, open that. All right, so the first line is the title. Use headers for column width. No, well, let's see, total included in the last line, but no. Link the table to the file. And that is the sheet name that's in that file. We didn't give it a name, so that's okay. So we'll come down here, pick a location. And so here's where there's your text style, standard.
Right.
You know, it's very much like you saw that other one with the line and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So we'll not do any, let's see, we'll do the title. We'll make it a little bit of a shade. We have no totals, no header. Table color. Just make white. All right, so that should be okay. And then we would line that up, say with this one. So now why is table. The properties. Oops, sorry, I turned it off. Like color. Make white. Block, report table. All right, so that should work. Now, why? I'm thinking it's because those pieces of text are white on a white piece of paper. So we need to edit that. How do I set that? I want to set my table properties. So if I edit, is there a table? Table, here we go, edit table properties. There we go, title is grade. These. Are all good there. Background colors, no background colors. Table color. Let's set that. Grid color, that's fine. There we go. And then I would say,
How did you do that? Why did that come on all of a sudden?
because I had the color of this text in here set to white instead of color 7, which means it goes black if it's on a white background and it's white if
Okay.
it's black. So So if we edit those table properties, there's that first word corner in that first column. And then description, we have the title. Like you might even, I'll show you here in a second, we add to the other one as well to match it. Let's set this to be 0.08. And description will be left. Whoops. Cancel that if I edit. Yeah, go left. 08. 08. So that's going to match the height up here. The header will be 0.1 instead of 08. And it's going to be centered, and the title would be centered at 0.1 as well. All right, so that will match that, and we could do the same type of things here. This table edit, we choose this table. Oh, sorry. Now we got to be in model space, because that's where that one is. So we look at our general table editor, and those things we've set before, and we give it a title. We'll call it a line table. And it will have a background of 253. And the title will be 0.1 centered. So that'll look like that now. And this, that can be wider here for that. In fact, we do want to make this one.
Now, if I wanted to add another row to that, can I edit that table?
Well, that's what I was looking at. There's, I think, we should be able to see when we pasted that. Edit the table. So yeah, you can do it right inside the CAD file. Just add a row.
Okay.
Okay, so. Now I'm going to go back and open up that.
Now, how did you show me how you got to that again?
All right.
Please.
Yeah, let me make this a little wider here.
Okay.
On that 8. Maybe we need to have been a little wider still.
Okay, you just clicked on it.
No, I'd used a previous command. I'll come back and show you that here in just a second. Let me make that say 10. There we go. Got a little more room in there now. All right, so this table is in paper space and this table is in model space. So be aware of those things. And so, but to edit those, it's on our edit menu. All the way at the bottom is table. And you can edit the properties or the values. And the values of where you're able to type stuff in there. These were automatically generated values, so I would leave those alone probably. But the properties, and then you would choose, now I'm in paper space now, so here's where I would choose this. In fact, I think my header scale, that's what I wanted to change that back down a little. Yeah, now we match. The title's a little bigger, the headers all matching. And, oh, one thing I wanted to do too. See, you should be able to right click. Let me see if there's more. Yeah, see, it's not under there. So you're going to just have to get it from, now I was able to get it from when you said that I clicked, I just double clicked it or I just right clicked or something, that's because I did this and just repeated that command.
Okay,
But the commands are here, edit table. Now, when you did the line table, when we did the line table bit, it was over here
Yeah.
under annotate,
right,
their line curve table. And that was the edit table properties and values. That's the exact same command that's over here under edit.
okay,
All right, so if we, oh, what I was gonna do is I'm gonna edit the values of this, and instead of corner, you might put, you might say type. What, type A, type B, type C, what did, auto size table, no. So, or you might even call it corner type or something. So see if it, I don't leave it too big to, it's a title all by itself. Let's say, yeah. So now corner type A, B, and C, and D, and E, and however we're gonna do
type
it.
a real word like that,
Pardon?
just type a real word like that, TYPE. That,
Or, what type is it? What sort?
I
corner?
guess there's more than one type. Okay,
What other kind?
type, TIPE,
TIP? I've never heard of that actually.
me either.
So, all right. And, now, one other thing I do want to do with this is this one. I want-
Yeah, it is, there is a type. It's a
Yeah.
noun,
That's left. I want that to be left justified, that word. Header. Yeah, see, that's the problem. It takes the whole header. Oh, that'll work. Okay. So, you can either continue to make your edits here, but if you do it with the spreadsheet and bring it in, see, we did a draw table. And we input a data file. And we found that. And we said first line is the title, use headers for column width, total, included link table to file. See, that's what I thought we had it linked. Just take the defaults here for a second. See, it's not, it doesn't let us. It's not an OLE, an OLE, object linking and embedment. It's not like your other ones that you have in there, like your merger tables and such. This is actually a block.
Would it be easy just to save it as a merger table like we, as a Excel file, copy it?
Well, I was just trying to get the text to look the same on this one. Otherwise, this is gonna, well, I mean, it'll still be okay. Let's see if we let's,
Well, the standard text is just Arial.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It might be okay to do that as well. So if we, let's save this. If we are in here.
Corner ID is about halfway up.
Wow, this lag is killing me. Sort by type. This corner ID. Which is corner type. And the description will open that up a little bit like so. And save that. And then if we do this and come back to our drawing. And then we will paste. As an Excel spreadsheet. And we paste it right there. So if we come in here now and do this. Match it exactly here or not. Set all of the style to Arial. So outline. Then the insides. Okay. Didn't have to be pasted. So this I'll take that back off, but it should be that once you save this. Oh, it's yet to. Yep. You have to refresh it. Okay. You should just be able to click like that, and it should update. Yeah, this it did. All right, so you can see the difference in the way AutoCAD renders aerial versus the way Excel renders aerial. So you can do that either way. And you know, and it really wouldn't hurt, Mike, to have this as your Excel file and this as your Carlson generated data. And just have them not look exactly the same. You know, that's not
Right.
gonna kill it. So I'll leave that decision up to you. So either way, you can do it from either method.
Okay,
All right. And yeah, all right. Now that should have cleaned up this a bit. And now you can do that repositioning. You know, to clarify those, having me maybe move this stuff here out of the way. All right, you know, leave that in your capable hands, meaning sure am glad I'm not having to do that. Yeah. Yeah, it's not too bad. It looks like up in here is where your crowding is going on,
right.
and that gets that relieved. And then I would just go through and just drop pieces of text by each of those points, or put them in. You could even do it like where's that point? Yeah, you could put it right here in this drawing description. Don't change it here,
Right.
but only in the drawing description, if that's where you're displaying them. If you're not displaying them there, and if you just want to just put a piece of, just drop a piece of text.
Yeah, that's what I've done with the other ones, like this one back here.
Yeah,
Or the NPS monuments, each one actually has a separate designation written on the monument. So I put them in individually as text,
right.
like that one and that one.
Yeah, but I mean, that could be like that's just a piece of text, right?
Right. It's in paper space, so.
In paper space, okay, yeah. So now you could have put that text right here. Now that does say 411A already on the coordinate file.
Yeah,
And there's a 411A number 4. Or 44 rather. So, you know, you could have, you know, copy that and paste that up in here. Any of those means are acceptable. And a
Right.
lot of surveyors, Michael, when they put this thing in, they deliver their plats, they do everything with just text labels because they don't want to give out their points for, you know, for whatever reason. And I guess it's a fear of somebody changing the points. So,
what do you mean by that? I'm not sure I understand.
well, if you give this file to somebody, they've
You
got,
mean as a DWG?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So then they would have your coordinates, and, you know, it could change the values of them if they want. But I mean, it's sort of a hollow argument, because I can move that circle and move the text and edit the text. I can do any of that stuff, you know, without, it doesn't have to be a coordinate, you know, but it's just some people just have a blanket policy, you know, no coordinates. So,
well, I rarely give anybody a DWG file.
Yeah, that's really becoming an exception to the normal practice these days anyway, so.
That, now the job I talked to you about a couple of weeks ago where we're gonna do some topo, I actually got that job. So that's a case where I will be giving a DWG to an
Yeah.
engineering company, and I'll work with you on that about how to do that.
Yeah, and also when you give them that, um, when you give them that file, we're gonna also give them a land XML file that has the surface and everything in it, so they can use it directly without having to, without having to, to have, like, they probably won't have Carlson.
Right,
And so they can still take your surface from the land XML and import it into whatever they're using, Civil 3D or even in MicroStation or something.
right.
And so that's going to be a great value add for when they get that work. As long as they know, that they can do that. Sometimes they'll get it and they'll say, well, I'm going to build a surface again from the contours. And they've just messed out all your good work. They've just thrown it in the trash. And, so make sure when you deliver, you itemize that you're sending them a land XML file that contains the surface.
Right,
That should.
right.
All right.
Well, I'll work with you on that when the time comes. I'll go by your sage advice.
All right. I don't know about how sage it is, but unless you're going by the color, it's kind of a sick green. Anyway, all righty.
Okay.
Anything else, or has that got you?
Oh, I have another job to look at. Let me
Save this.
save these and close it. And close that. I don't need to save that. And then I need to open a file. Oops, wait a minute. Maybe you already there. No, it's not that one. Okay. Okay, this is kind of an interesting job. Oh, how do I turn this thing off? It drives me crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, for one thing, it points out the fact that you do have some conflicts. So that part is good, but if you know that you have some and you don't want to see that all the time, that is controlled. I'll show you. I'll let you dig into it so you get a little muscle memory. Go up
Okay.
to settings and your Carlson configure.
Carlson configure.
Yeah, and it's not a general setting, which is where so many are. It's under survey settings because it has to do with points. And you see that last checkbox?
Automatic compare.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that's across the board, not just for this file. That's for any of them.
Okay, then exit.
Correct.
Okay, now this is a development that's been going on for, I don't know, 15 years. And the surveyor who's doing it, and this is a different project that has just started up. And the surveyor who did this, who's working on this, who's just starting on it, is different than the surveyor here. And this was on an old magnetic bearing from a survey that actually Karen Brill did back in the early 90s.
Uh-huh.
And he just rotated his job to it. When they came in here and did this, they put it on state plane coordinates.
Okay.
And they were showing a different bearing here. And this surveyor got very upset about it. He said, how do I know that we're not creating that we're talking about the same line? So he actually hired me to determine that. And I did that independently, and I came up with the fact that I agreed with the surveyor here. I came up with the same line here within about 10 seconds, which made roughly 1600ths of a foot difference over the length of that line. So I just decided to hold his bearing. I wasn't going to argue over 1600ths
Right.
in
Okay.
10 seconds. But what I discovered is that they're not on the same line. If you took the monuments that this surveyor set and extended them to here, you were about a foot off of this line by the time you got up here, although he insisted that he held this point, which was a rebar that Karen Brill set back in 92. So he wants me to draw a plat of just this line and show the distance from the points that he set to the line that I'm. Hold on here for a second. My daughter's calling me. Let me
Yep.
see what.
Yep. Take care.
Hello, I'm on a Zoom meeting. Just barely. I'm literally in a meeting here. Okay, love you, bye. Okay.
All right. All right. So a couple of things to consider is, like, when you say when you extend that line to hit the other, remember when you do that, it's only like is this line? Oh, it does start at that point. Okay. I was gonna say, because these points may or may not be on that line exactly, and it's only going to extend the last segment, but I don't see any vertices in that line, in that red one. All right, there's the green one. You see that little grip right there?
Yeah.
That's the midpoint of a 2D polyline. So that goes end to end. That was the green one that's underneath it. If I choose the red one, I think I chose the red one. I choose the red one. Yeah, apparently the green one shows, but the red one is selected. It also has just the two endpoints and the midpoint. So that one has say 39, 40, 15, 10. Yeah, they're slightly different coordinates, it looks like, unless it's drawn back. No, 39, 40, 15, 10. Yeah, so apparently they're exactly on the same line.
Well, those aren't the lines that I don't have the line shown of the other surveyor.
Oh,
I
okay.
have the line shown that I came up with and the line shown that Gordon came up with. But
Okay,
if you take these points and doesn't really matter what, I mean, they're roughly on the same line.
right.
And if you take that line and extend it, and he said to ignore that he understands it by the time he gets out here, he's going to have to meet that rebar. And he said he would take that responsibility. But I have a lot of small distances to show here. And what would I do? Create like an offset table, like a spreadsheet showing the distance?
Are you trying to show the offsets, or are you trying to show
Yes,
the links
that's
between?
what he wants me to do. He wants me to show the difference from point 13. Let me see here.
Yeah, the perpendicular distance off of that line.
Yeah, which
Okay.
in this case is half a foot.
Yeah, okay. So, a second, there we go. Yeah, so, what would be a good way to tabularize that? There's a way to mathematically do it without you having to pick each line and show it, and it has to do with a best fit. And if we go to, I think it's your best fit by least squares. No, we're gonna select the points from the screen. Are we gonna include the endpoints, I guess, probably?
No, because they're computed points. They actually aren't found. The high numbers, the 233 and 222,
Okay,
it's just the double digit numbers, the 25, 24, 36, 23, 22, etc.
all right, so if we do this. And then let's remove. These come out too.
Yes. And 227 comes out because it's a control point. One of his traverse stations.
All right, so we're going to wind up with that, but so it's going to compute this. Under the hold.
You're creating a line, aren't you?
Yeah, but we're going to get a report. That's what I'm going to show you.
Okay. Okay, we want to take 6 out of that line too, because that's not one that he.
Okay, all right, so let's see if we hold the bearing. Hold the bearing. Now let's let it find. Let's see what comes out of this. So now here's 0.9. You said 6 is 9 to is 9. 9 with one of those. Do we? You know where that is?
Yeah, but it's
It's
have to
one.
move this table.
All right, so 6 is not in this list.
Okay, good.
All of these 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way 13, 15. There is no 16, 17, 18.
Yes, but it's comparing it to the line of those points, not to the line that I have computed.
All right.
Right?
Yeah, but that, which I think we can, I just want to see what, if it's going to get, see, here's where we get these numbers, these residuals.
Yeah,
Those are those distances.
but they're not the distances to the distances to the line created by the best fit line of those points,
That
which
is
is
correct.
different than the line, the boundary line that I came up with.
Right. That's what I was going to see if we could hold that other. See if we could hold 222. No, we don't want to go 222 to 6 and hold that. We want to, where is that other
Yeah,
line?
that is it. That's the line we do want to evaluate.
Oh, we want to see what they are from that line.
Yes.
222 to 6, we need those offsets for each of those. So one of these, if we can. Well, let's see. I think that's still gonna always try to generate a line. Can you put existing data from points or polyline? Let's do from a line. No, that's just, all right, let's try that line. So it's this. I think. Yeah, it's not. It doesn't let us pick the other lines. All right, so another option would be if we calculate offsets. Polyline report offsets. Label station offset report. So report station report point notes.
What's the report formatter?
That just lets you choose the format instead of looking at it on the screen. We can look at that in a minute if it's gonna help us. Let's see. Store these coordinates. I want the offsets, but I want them reported. I don't want them labeled necessarily. So let's see what this will do for us. Left and right. All right, let's try this. Select the center line. Pick pointer point numbers. Okay. So we have what, 9 through
25.
5.
Oh, well, there's a 36 there too. Oh, no, wait a minute. That, if you do that, there are a bunch of decimal points there. There's a 10.1 and a 10.2 because I shot the points more than once and then I did a cluster average. So you're gonna have to enter them individually.
All right, so let's just go through and pick these. Let's see, selection set. There we go. Now we'll pick this one, this one, this one, this one. I think we'll do a fence. And
No, no,
of those, right?
no.
And that's it. That's in those.
That's it. Yep.
All right, let's see what the report gets us. All right. Where did it get those from? Were those points in there just not showing?
I guess that it's the cluster averages that we're looking for, but not the.
All right, so let's do.
Although it's funny, it shouldn't have picked those. I'm surprised that it picked those.
Let's do this again, except this time we use a report formatter and we'll choose this again. And let's just do a selection set. Now that's going to get a bunch of those, and we'll say R. Get rid of that one. That one, and that one. And that one. All right, so now, when this comes up into our report, we're gonna have a point number. We have an offset. Anything else out of here that we want?
Maybe description.
And so now we can dump this out to Excel. And let's see, let's open these up a little bit. All right, so now like you're only wanting the cluster average.
Right.
So hide the decimal ones.
Why do you hide them instead of delete them?
Oh, you
Just
could,
out of curiosity.
just so you have them. If you ever need to go back to them. Now let me skip ahead here and do these all at one shot. Yeah, that way, because you see, you got a 781, 781, 780, 22.2 is actually a better fit than 22 and 22.1, but that may just be a mathematical fluke. There may be a reason why we would rather
Okay,
use.
you go ahead.
All right,
You skip one there,
let's skip
21.1.
so there may be a, you know, a reason why we would rather use one of the other, or, you know, possibly that because, you know, even though one of those individually might be better, the average might make more robust surveying sense. So in that case, here's your cluster averages and the offsets. So, and that you could, you know, copy and paste just like you normally do.
Okay, let's save that so I have that information somewhere.
Save that as, and I'll let you drive over to where it goes.
Oh, let's see where this is. Nope, not that one.
While you're there, you can, yeah, you can just navigate while you're there.
Oops.
That's an interesting little job to do.
And I'll call this offsets. Well, it was kind of strange to be hired by a surveyor to find his errors.
Yeah. So, and you know, and you can paste that right into your drawing, you know, just like you've been doing before, but
Okay, and I can go in and change those values. He's an interesting guy. His name is Fred Gates. I don't know if you know him or not,
no,
but he's still surveying and he's 82 years old.
wow.
Works by himself. Now, occasionally he has one of his sons come in to help him do something like, he says he gets tired of driving rebars. So he has his, he'll set nails and then have one of his sons come home for the weekend and help him go out and drive the rebars where the nails are.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have muscle when you need it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see how far, off, is he like 3/10, 4/10, 5, 2, 4, 4, 6, 7. Yeah, so 22 is a little, 25 is a little, 24.
His son's an interesting guy. I've only met him a couple of times, but I guess he's in his late 20s now. But after he graduated from high school, he was actually accepted at 3 of the service academies.
Wow.
Decided to go to the Naval Academy and served in the Navy for whatever your requisite time is that you have to
Yeah.
serve to pay for your degree. 5 years, I think, maybe.
Well, it's 6 years unless you're pilot qualified, and your year of pilot training doesn't count. So it's comes 7. Well, that's the way it was for the Air Force. I don't know about Naval Academy, but it was really interesting. We had a guy in my squadron, an upperclassman, when I was a freshman, that he elected to, because when you graduate from any of the academies, you can elect a cross commission to any of the other services. So he elected to go into the Navy. Most everybody goes in the Air Force, coming out of the Air Force Academy, but he wanted to be a naval aviator instead. So when graduation day, those people that chose a different branch of the services wore that particular branch's uniform when they graduated. So he was out there in his all whites. So, but he was an interesting fellow. His name was Dean Worthington III. Was from some patrician East Coast old family, So, all righty.
So did he become a naval aviator?
He did, as far as I know. I wasn't able to keep track of him later on. It could be that he washed out, but I doubt it. He was pretty
Gung ho.
Yeah, pretty well put together. So he probably did just fine. I mean, I even know some of the screw ups in my squadron that went on to become decent enough pilots. They were one of them that I don't recall if he went to pilot training or not. I don't think so. But one thing that he did do, and I would call him a screw up. He wasn't really a screw up, but he was one a lot of the other kids picked on him because he was he had a little bit of an oddness to him. But when you get out in the regular service, he wound up accidentally killing a child with his car. Somebody had, I don't know, left the child in the road or something. Anyway, it just really messed him up. And
I can imagine that would do it.
Yeah, and it just ruined his life and his career. And his career was set back because there was a certain level of blame or responsibility attached to it. But he became an attorney, and he specialized in helping people that were perhaps unfairly. And it wasn't that he would, I mean, he did the deed, but it wasn't his fault. There was nothing he could have done about it, and he suffered because of it, of course, beyond just the emotional suffering. But so he specialized in helping people out of situations like that. And I understand he did quite well for himself. So, and was really a good advocate for people that needed his help. So, anyway.
Well, I think that's it for today.
Yeah, well, I'll give you something to keep you busy.
I may come back to you after I have this a little more developed to get your input on it.
Sure. Yeah. If there's anything at all that changes those two endpoints, but I don't think there's going to be, because that one of them over there is Karen's point, right? And the one on the
right
is held. The only other thing that I would possibly check if it makes a difference is, what is the what's the original partitioning intent? Is it to split the areas evenly or?
Well, no, it's hard to say, what the original intent was. And unfortunately, the corner up here was missing. In fact, I remember well when it was torn out because the guy who owned the property at the time was a local farmer, and he tore it out, and he knew he tore it out, and he called me up and asked me how much it would cost to have it put back. And I said, well, I don't know. Looking at the field, it looks like you've probably torn out all of my control, so I'd have to go back and reset it.
Oh, boy.
And it might be pretty expensive. And he said, well, never mind, I'll just let somebody else worry about it. So here we are.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so this is now. So this figure is not closed, it says. So there's a hole in it somewhere. Let's see if it's,
Okay, that's interesting. How do you, show me again how you search for that hole?
okay. When I select this polyline and I check its properties and I see that it is not closed.
Yeah,
Now, it could be that it is visually and geometrically closed. It's just not closed by properties. So the first thing I do is I go to my vertex count here and I look at my first vertex and I look at the coordinates and I see where that is. It's up here.
yeah,
And if I go backwards on this count, I go to the closing. And you see how those are slightly different numbers?
yeah.
And so you can see right in there, if you zoom in tight enough, you'll see, and you may not even be able to get tight enough. So there's a little bitty gap right in there. There it is. All right.
Yeah.
Now, why is that? You know, should that point, you know, should you take it? If you were to select this and just change it from no to yes, it would put that little closing piece right there.
Let's do an inverse real quick and see how far apart that is. Oh, 200s.
Yeah.
So that could be just error in the geometry of the plat. 200s is nothing to worry about.
Yeah, because it depends on where that figure came from. If that's a deed trace, that's pretty darn tight, you know,
Yeah.
for something that large. So, and it looks like,
Well, that probably is where it came from. That came from Karen's plat.
and then there's Karen's point. And it's not even on the line too, because you've got actually 3 different points.
Yeah, what's that difference in dimensions?
All right, so if we go from here to there, that is what,
Three
003.
thousandths point.
Yeah. So, you know. And so now again, it's tiny,
Hey, when did you graduate from Virginia Tech?
84.
84. Gosh, there was a surveyor down in Virginia who graduated from Tech about then. Well, he was probably older than you. I think he graduated about then, but he was in the military and went to Vietnam first, and became a surveyor in the military, and then went back to Virginia Tech to get a degree. And his degree was actually in civil engineering, but back then they used to have an option. Well, I don't know if they had the option when you
Yeah,
went there.
the survey certificate. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you remember his name? Because I probably,
well, I'm trying to think of his name. Steve Dowdy.
I know Steve Dowdy. He
Yeah,
was,
he was a really good guy.
yeah, he was he was a year or 2 ahead of me. Skip it.
Yeah,
And there
well,
was,
he died about a year ago. He had a massive stroke.
oh, really? Wow.
He was a really good guy.
Yeah, there's a couple of surveyors. I think they're down on the south side somewhere. A guy named Don Smith. And his dad was a surveying professor at Virginia Tech, and he died when he was a professor there. And I graduated with Don Jr. And his mom and my mom were roommates at Tech in '56. So, but he went into business with a guy named Matt. Oh God, I can't remember Matt's last name. Anyway, there's somewhere like in South Boston or someplace. I can't remember where. But oh well. Wow, so Steve, huh? All right, so just to see. Huh. This must not be. Exactly right either. That's right. Okay, so if I just let's extend that. Now this is just throwaway stuff. I'm just curious as to whether maybe that original partition was an equal area or what. It looks like it could be, but
I don't think it was. I'm not sure.
we'll see. 110, 7081. Nope, it was not. And it's not parallel to anything, so there was some other governing reason. So what
So the farmer who owned this property was named Mervyn Roderick, and he was a very well-to-do farmer. He owned thousands of acres over Jefferson County, and he died, and his son farmed it for a little while, but ended up selling it all, most of it to Dan Ryan, actually. And his son pissed away all the money in about 5 years.
Oh man.
Drugs, wild women, motorcycles.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Well, that's a story old as time, I'm afraid.
Indeed. Okay, well, thank you, my friend.
That it? Nothing else?
That's it for today.
Alrighty, that gives you something to work on.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. I'll send you the video.
Okay,
All right.
thanks.
See you, Mike.
Bye.